So here we go. This is the video on how to install the DMR preview release firmware onto your x36HP scanners. There's been a lot of confusion about exactly how to get it on there. Hopefully this will clear some of it up. First step you're going to do is you're going to go to where the firmware was released, or the announcement was made, which was on the radioreference.com website. I have the link to the actual thread right there in the description. Once you get here, you'll go to the very first post, and you'll see that there's lots of good information here you'll need to read. Disclaimers, all the good stuff is here. Also, there's some good links to information for when you do get the firmware installed, including a link to the old thread, which is long but searchable. The link you're looking for, though, is the one at the very bottom of the first post, which is the link to the zip file containing the firmwares. If you click on that, your browser should download the zip file, and depending on where you have your downloads going defaultly, most of you will probably have it go into your downloads folder. You'll need to go look for that zip file there. Mine happens to be on my desktop. That's where I have everything going, so I'm going to go ahead and double click the zip file, and you'll notice that there are two other files in there. One of them is a text file that contains information and the password you need in order to open the other file, which is a zip file. Notice that there is a firmware version there in the zip file. You'll want to remember that for later when we actually unzip it. But basically what you'll want to do is just unzip these. The way I unzip, because I'm using the default Windows system archive program, which is built into Windows. It was built into Windows 7 and all the way up through 10, which is what I'm using. Basically all I do is I just highlight what I want to unzip, and then I drag and drop it over to where I want to unzip it to. So I'm just going to drag it over here to my desktop. You'll notice that these two files are now over here. You can close this because we've got the files we need. The first file we're going to look at is the Readme file. This is just a text file that has information in it. This has lots of good information in it. You want to read this very carefully. I can't stress that enough, very carefully. And you may want to read it twice. This contains disclaimers. This contains what you can expect after you get the firmware on your scanner, and then also what not to expect. It also goes through each step of what I'm telling you right now, which is how to get the firmware on your scanner. Most importantly, you'll want to get the password, which is somewhere in this text file. If you read the whole text file, it tells you how to get the password. Once you've done that and you have the password, you can go over here to the zip file that you unzipped just a minute ago with the Readme. Again, it should contain the version 1.11.08. You want to double click that, and you'll see that there are two bin files. At any time, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video and catch up. I'm trying to go as slow as possible and trying to explain as I go, but again, you can pause the video if you get a little bit behind. Once you have this file open, the two bin files, these are the most important things. This is actually what we're wanting to get out of these out of this download. What I'm going to do is exactly what I did for the other zip file. I'm just going to highlight the files I want to unzip, then I'm going to drag and drop them over here onto the desktop. Now here is where it's prompting you for the password that I spoke of earlier that you got out of the text file. One thing to remember, and it's very important, you have to type it in exactly as you saw it in the text file. Capitalization, punctuation has to match exactly. So you'll want to go ahead and type that in here. Again, it is in that zip file. You just have to read that text file. You just have to read it very carefully to get the correct information. Once you have the password and you hit OK, it's going to unzip those two files over here wherever you dropped them or wherever you extracted them to. I'm going to close this file, and these are the two files that we've been trying to get. This is our main goal here, is to get these two files. Once we have these files, the rest of this is just putting it on the scanner. So in order to put it on the scanner, we'll need to go ahead and plug the scanner in to your computer into a USB port, and when the scanner comes up and asks if you want to use serial port mode or mass storage mode, you're going to choose mass storage mode by hitting the E key, which is underneath the number 9 on your scanner. This is on your scanner keyboard. So we're going to go ahead and plug this in, and my scanner is asking me which my scanner's not on, so I'm going to turn it on now. Be sure your scanner's on before you start. If it's not, after you plug it in, you can just go ahead and turn it on after hitting no there. And once it comes up, it's going to ask you, do you want to do mass storage mode? And you want to hit the E key. That's where you want to hit E. Once you do, it'll actually make a sound there for you that it's connected, and your screen on your scanner should read USB mass storage. If that's all right, then if you've done that, you want to go to, you can, depending on what version of Windows you have, you can go to this PC. You'll notice that wherever you can get to your drives, because once the scanner is in mass storage mode, it actually assigns itself a drive letter. Mine happens to be D. Yours could be something different. You can always just double click on it if you think that's it. You should see this is the first folder you see, and then once you go into that folder, if you double click again, you'll see that there are a whole bunch of other folders. This is actually my scanner. The one that you're concerned with is the firmware folder. If you double click that. So just to recap, you'll want to find on your PC the place where you can look for your drives. This PC, my PC on Windows 7. You can also go to the File Explorer. If you click on the File Explorer, usually down next to your Start button, and go to this PC or my PC, you'll see your C drive, maybe your CD-ROM drive, but you'll also notice that there's another drive there, and it should be, this size should be around the size of your SD card that you have in your scanner. And you'll double click it. In the BCDx36HP folder, you'll double click that. You'll look for the firmware folder, double click that, and you'll notice there are a couple of files already in there. Leave those alone, those are supposed to be there. And then you're going to, of the files that we just unzipped, the bin files, whatever version your scanner is, what model you have. If it's a 436, you're going to choose the 436.bin. If it's the 536, you're going to choose that one. But you're just going to drag either or, not both, over. You're going to drag the files over into this firmware folder. So mine happens to be a 436, so I'm going to go ahead and just drag and drop this over. Once I drop it, you'll notice it copies over, and you'll see that that bin file is now inside the firmware folder. Once you've gotten this in there, all you have to do now is power cycle your scanner. Once you power cycle the scanner should come up into a firmware upgrade mode when it comes back on, and it'll take a few seconds, you know, not any more than 20 seconds or so, and you'll see a progress bar. And then once it's done, it'll say firmware complete, firmware update complete, and then it'll restart itself. Once it comes back up, you should be able to go to the upgrade function in the menu, and you should see a place to enter your DMR upgrade key. And that's it. That's all there is to it. It's not that hard. It's just you know, I know some people aren't as savvy with unzipping and moving files around on a computer. So I hope this video helps for those people who are having issues.